A Bookworm's Journey in the Cardinal World. Tensura X Ascendance of a Bookworm by Galaxycharmer123. 12 Negotiations. Rimuru's POV. I stood waiting, dressed in my new Demon Lord outfit, making me look calm and imposing. My guests from Ehrenfest were approaching, and I had already sensed them entering my territory. It wouldn't be long before they arrived. Accompanying Ferdinand were 3 others. 1 female and 2 male. Mine stood beside me, ready to greet her archducal manner she had been taught. Before long, they arrived, riding on creatures that appeared to be clouds, made of mana, and following the user's will. 2 had 3 lion heads, while the other had 1 lion, likely symbolizing their connection to the main archducal family. Raphael, can you analyze its workings? I inquired. On it, Master, Raphael replied, its tone efficient. You sure are energetic, I mused. That is your imagination, Raphael retorted, its tone unchanged. I stepped forward to greet them. Hello. Welcome to the Jurid Tempest Federation. My name is Rimuru Tempest, the ruler of this nation. May I have the pleasure of knowing your names? My name is Sylvester Ehrenfest, the Ob of the Archduchy of Ehrenfest. This is my wife, Florencia Ehrenfest, and he is my guard knight, Karstedt. I have come to Tempest to officially negotiate with you, Demon Lord Rimuru, regarding our unlawful incursion into your territory, Sylvester replied, his tone regal yet slightly strained. Like me, I could tell he also didn't like to put on a noble face. No need to be so uptight. I usually prefer to work without formalities, I assured him, my tone friendly. I did this to relax the atmosphere a little bit. Sylvester seemed to relax at my words. That is a blessing. I also don't always like to keep my archduke persona. My lord, you are in front of the leader of one of the strongest nations. Have some manners, Florencia chided gently. Lord Sylvester, how many times have I told you to keep your composure? Ferdinand added. Sylvester looked uncomfortable, so I decided to defuse the situation. Let us go inside. This is hardly where to conduct negotiations, I suggested, gesturing towards the entrance. My thoughts exactly. Thank you for hosting us, Sylvester replied, his tone grateful. We went inside, and mine approached them to guide them around. She knelt, kept her hands between her shoulders, and offered a greeting. Hello, my name is Mine. May I pray for a blessing in appreciation of this serendipitous meeting ordained by the grace of our God, Lady Luminous? You may, the Archduke said, his tone formal. May this meeting be blessed, Mine intoned, channeling some of her mana into holy energy to give a blessing. It was a neat way to greet someone, I thought. You are Mine, correct? Ferdinand's disciple? Sylvester inquired, his tone curious. Yes, I am. You can ask him if you want, Mine replied, her tone respectful. That is not necessary. I have been told that it was because of your timely intervention that we can even discuss with Demon Lord Rimuru. I give you my thanks, Sylvester said, his tone sincere. Mine looked a bit shocked. No, please don't thank me. I acted recklessly, leading to everyone in my family worrying about me and causing trouble for everyone. I only did that to protect my own family. No national pride was involved whatsoever, she explained, her tone humble. Still, as it stands, it is because of you that we were not wiped out and can negotiate. I have been told that Demon Lord Rimuru was extremely angry about how our soldiers massacred his people. Had you not saved them when you did, I have no idea what would have happened to our duchy and its people. I sincerely thank you from the bottom of my heart, Sylvester said, bowing his head, a grand gesture he could not do in public. I would also like to thank you. Because of you, I won't have to see my sons and daughters' lives go to vain. Because of Veronica's influence, I was kept away from educating them. Your sacrifice enabled our family to be relieved of the death penalty. I can't thank you enough, Florencia added, her voice filled with gratitude. Please keep your head up. You are our ruler. It is unbecoming of you to lower your head to mine, Mine replied in exasperation. I know that, so I made this gesture here where no one can see us. Ferdinand has already given us the basic gist of what happened and how we are to proceed, Sylvester explained, his tone understanding. I could see Mine getting increasingly uncomfortable. Now, let us go to our meeting place, shall we? I suggested, trying to change the subject. We have a lot to discuss, Sylvester replied after raising his head. We changed rooms to the meeting place in our courtyard where the summit took place. Now, before we list our demands, do you have anything to say for yourselves? I asked, my tone firm. We do, Florencia replied, taking over from Sylvester. I am responsible for all foreign relations of our duchy, and hence, it falls under my jurisdiction that the unlawful incursion by our knights into your territory took place. By the time we knew about the attack, it was too late. Our knight commander, Karstedt, looked into the matter and found out Lady Veronica, Ob's mother, had led this attack. We do not have conclusive evidence to prove she had done it, but she is our primary suspect, Florencia explained, her tone serious. Though that may be so, it still doesn't excuse the fact that we unilaterally attacked your country without a just cause. I hope you find it in you to forgive us. Sylvester, Florencia, Ferdinand, and Karstedt bowed their heads to me. Their apology looked sincere. What's done is done. Let us not dwell in the past. As I said, because of mine's intervention, most of my people were left unscathed, but I, as a ruler, cannot let this go unpunished. I have already informed you of the three options. I am giving you a chance again now to change your decision. What is your choice? I asked, my tone firm. Ferdinand replied to me instead of Florencia. As said before, we will agree to become your vassal state. We do not have the military strength to fight you nor the means to pay you war reparations. We don't have the means, and it will destroy our nation, so vassalage is our only choice, he explained, his tone resigned. All right, as you wish. Before I state my terms, I want to hear what proposal you have in mind regarding your vassalage contract, I said, my tone curious. Ferdinand immediately changed his demeanor to that of a nobleman and gave me a fake smile I was all too familiar with. I countered myself with a fake smile, and negotiations formally started. During that time, Tuli also changed into her uniform and stood behind mine as her guard, which earned a glance from Ferdinand. Tuli, I didn't know you had mana inside you. And what is that sword around your hip? It seems to be a magic sword, and it seemingly has more mana than yours, Ferdinand inquired, his tone curious. I do not know. I was exposed to magicules here, and I absorbed many of them when I arrived in Tempest. As a result, I have some mana now, which is increasing over here as I am exposed continuously to many more magicules. That is the most likely explanation, though I still don't know the real reason. As for my sword, I have decided to follow mine and protect her as my repayment after she sacrificed her life protecting mine. I also want to make sure she doesn't do something reckless again. I got it from Lord Rimuru after I completed my training under my master, Tuli explained. Interesting. Will you allow me to tell you how you got this mana after this meeting? Ferdinand asked, his tone intrigued. Certainly, Lord Ferdinand, Tuli replied, her tone respectful. Regarding protecting mine, I can see your resolve is strong enough, but you should know that she will live for eternity, right? You cannot be there for her always, Ferdinand cautioned, his tone gentle. I know and am determined to do anything to extend my lifespan, like becoming a sage or a demi-spirit. I will not leave her behind. It's the least I can do as her elder sister, Tuli replied, her tone determined. Ferdinand looked very impressed by Tuli's answer. Come to me if you want to learn more about how to be a knight, he offered, his tone encouraging. Thank you for the offer, Lord Ferdinand. I will inquire from my master and give you a response as soon as possible, Tuli replied, her tone respectful. Ferdinand nodded and then turned to me, indicating he was ready to resume our negotiation. So, I replied with a very noble smile. What are your terms? Ferdinand replied, we want you to recognize our religion as the state religion of our duchy. The nobles will cause quite an uproar if it is not there, and we demand first access to all of your technology. We will, of course, pay for it, but we want to buy the technology for half the price. We also want a contingent of your armed forces stationed in Ehrenfest to train our knights. We are backward as is in warfare, and we lost quite a few knights because of the incursion, he explained, his tone firm. And what are you offering in return? I asked, my tone curious. We will offer you 15% of our total income and free access to our lands so that you can construct whatever you want. We will not charge you for the land, but please make sure that the workers are from Ehrenfest itself, Ferdinand replied, his tone diplomatic. I turned on mind acceleration and thought to myself, Raphael, can you suggest a deal that they would accept? I asked, seeking guidance. Master, most of these are favorable to us, but I think we can push them to make it so that while Luminous is the primary religion, other religions are not discriminated against. Also, you can force them to provide you 20% of their annual revenue, Raphael advised, its tone analytical. Thank you, Raphael-sensei, I replied, my tone grateful. I stopped my mind acceleration and replied with a smile. I accept most of your proposals. I want you to know that while Luminous is still your state religion, other religions and their beliefs are also accepted and not discriminated against. I also want the annual tax to be increased to 25%, I proposed to him. 25% is too much. We won't be able to function properly. How about 20% revenue? Ferdinand countered, his. I can agree to 20% revenue, I replied, my tone conciliatory. Very well, but please also guarantee that you will come to our help should another nation or entity threaten Ehrenfest, Ferdinand requested, his tone earnest. I accept. Now, about the road and tool tax. I will develop all roads in your duchy, but I want full rights to charge toll however I wish. I asked, my tone firm. Very well, we accept, but I want the workers to be from Ehrenfest itself. I can agree to that. Now, about your politics and military. I will not interfere with your domestic politics, but regarding your international relations, I want that to be under our control. Also, regarding your military, I will build it up from the ground up, but I will also be making them sign a contract that stipulates that they will not divulge any of our secrets should they leave the army. I also want to be informed about all important changes in domestic politics that will take place. I will not interfere, but I expect you will not let anti-Tempest factions sprout and grow. If that happens, I want you to inform mine and, in extensionis regarding the same. I accept all of your demands, Lord Rimuru. So, do we have a deal then? I believe we have, Ferdinand replied, his tone satisfied. The negotiations have been completed successfully. Now, let me begin their test to see if they genuinely want to adopt mine into their family. Now, on to another topic. How have you decided to award mine and Thule for their contribution to your duchy? I inquired, my tone curious. The answer came not from Ferdinand but from Florencia. She took a deep breath and replied to me. We have decided to adopt mine as our child, and we will publicly declare her a saint and say that if it hadn't been for her begging you to give us a lighter punishment, we would have been crushed. We will use that ruse to adopt her into the archducal family. Regarding Thule, we have decided to elevate her to a noble. Although she didn't sacrifice herself, she did stand up to our knights and has a large monopool and training as a knight. We will act as her guardians, and she will act as the representative of the commoners. We will also allow her regular contact with her old family. In that way, both mine and Thule can stay in contact with their old family, though, in public, we will declare that she was an orphan to protect their parents. I hate this idea because I was also separated from my family and my son, so I don't want to subject another person to this. But the politics in our duchy is too hard line, and they will try to kidnap or hurt mine and Thule in any way they can to release their grudges against them. Although I know that they can't hurt them, they can still hurt their parents, and I don't want to think of the implications of what that would do, Florencia explained, her tone sincere and firm. And what about you, Sylvester and Ferdinand, do you agree to this? Yes, initially, my plan was for Karstedt to introduce her as his daughter and our Archduke her after, but after hearing Florencia's side of the story, I can at least understand where mine is coming from. I will not allow public recognition, but in private, I will allow regular contact, Sylvester replied, his tone understanding. I gave a nod to them and gave a smile. Congratulations, you passed my test, I announced, my tone approving. Test? Florencia replied, confused. Indeed, I was testing you to see whether you truly cared about their well-being or were just after them for political purposes. If you were after her for politics, I would not have allowed you to adopt her, but now my doubt is gone, and I have a proposal for you all. You are not allowed to refuse it. I explained, my tone firm. What proposal? Sylvester asked, his tone curious but also scared. I will also make you into demi-spirits so that you can live for eternity and make sure that your duchy doesn't commit another severe crime such as the one it has already committed. You all will be tasked to make sure that your duchy remains stable. This is my punishment for you all because I know how you all still treat your commoners. Even if you yourself don't do it, it doesn't excuse the fact that the nobles still do it. It will fall on you to stop it. I already know about why the gods of your previous world sent you here. Consider this as atoning for your sins, I proposed, my tone firm. The four people had their heads down, likely because they couldn't reply to me. What about our children? Florencia asked, her tone concerned. They can also become demi-spirits should they wish to. They are free to refuse, but know this, they cannot give birth to new offspring after turning into a demi-spirit, I explained in a gentle tone. Very well, we accept this punishment, we will dedicate the rest of our eternal lives fixing our mistakes, Sylvester replied, his tone resigned. On another note, I also want you to handle this list of nobles who were involved in the attack directly or indirectly, I said, handing them a paper containing a list of nobles I had received from Soe. How do you have this list? Even we fully don't know who was involved, Ferdinand asked, still a bit shocked. I have my ways, I replied, smiling, indicating that I already had spies infiltrate Ehrenfest. You are a demon lord. You don't let anyone go scot-free after they cross you, Sylvester exclaimed, his tone admiring. I have a reputation to maintain, after all. When will we conduct the ceremony for turning us into demi-humans? Florencia asked, her tone curious. During our founding festival, we will reserve a unification day where you will pledge your allegiance to me, and I will turn you all into demi-spirits as a reward. I will not show it as punishment, as it will affect mine's reputation. Also, though mine will join your family, she will still be in regular contact with me and inform me if there is any suspicion that anti-Tempest conspiracies are occurring over there, I explained, my tone firm. Very well, we will accept. But what about mine's input? Are you all right with being adopted? Sylvester asked, his tone gentle. I still hate the idea, but I can't risk my family's life, so I accept it. Besides, I was prepared to be adopted after I turned 10 years old. This new arrangement still allows me to contact my family, unlike the previous arrangement, mine replied, her tone resigned. And what about Thule? Do you support your sister's decision? I asked, my tone curious. I do. I had a little talk with Lord Rimuru and mine and concluded that this is the best course of action, but I still want to protect my sister as her knight to repay her. And I will not back down on that decision, Thule replied, her tone firm. Very well, consider it done. I will also change you into a demi-spirit like your sister, I offered, my tone gentle. No, I want to do this on my own. I will ask for your help when it seems like I will not achieve my goal, but until then, I want to make a spirit contract on my own, Thule replied, her tone determined. Very well, tell you what, I know someone who can help you in your endeavors. Do you want to meet her? I asked, my tone encouraging. Who? Thule asked, her tone curious. I believe you already met her, Demon Lord Ramirez, who is also the Queen of the Spirits, I replied, my tone amused. She was the Queen of the Spirits. But then, why didn't she say anything to me about being a demi-spirit? Thule asked, her tone surprised. I believe she already talked with your spirit when you were not looking, I explained, my tone gentle. So, will you meet her? I asked, my tone encouraging. I will. Thank you, Lord Rimuru, for this opportunity, Thule replied, her tone grateful. Now that the Demon Lord Summit, Walpurgis, is still 3 weeks away, I should start my I began but was interrupted. Rimuru, there has been a change of plans, Ramirez burst into the room, her voice urgent. Why? What happened? I asked, my tone concerned. Guy got extremely bored and forced the meeting to be conducted in the next 3 days so that Walpurgis will start in 3 days, Ramirez explained, her tone filled with concern. So I have much less time to prepare, I mused, my tone resigned. Suddenly, Soe popped up behind me. My lord, Demon Lord Clayman's forces are marching towards Urizania. What are your orders? Soe reported. Crap, everything is happening all at once, I thought, my mind racing. Observe them for now. I will begin preparations to deploy my army, I instructed, my tone firm. From the corner of my eye, I could see the stunned eyes of my guests. Please keep this a secret from everyone, I requested, my tone serious. Florencia replied, worry not, my lord. I very well know the implications of what may happen if we do leak this information. I am, after all, responsible for Ehrenfest's diplomatic front, her tone reassuring. Ooh, so you have contact in the Council and the Holy Empire. Perfect. I want to send a message to Hinata. Can you send it for me? I requested, my tone hopeful. I can, but may I ask why? Florencia inquired, her tone curious. You will know soon enough. This concerns your duchy also, I replied, my tone cryptic. Now, let us end this meeting. We each have work to do, and Florencia, mine's parents, have just entered Tempest. Would you like to set up a meeting point? I asked, my tone considerate. I leave that decision up to mine, Florencia replied. What do you say, mine? What do you say, mine? I asked gently, sensing the weight of her decision. I will talk with my parents and tell them about my situation. I will have the meeting tomorrow evening. I do request you be present as a mediator, mine replied, her voice steady but tinged with emotion. Very well, consider it done, I assured her, nodding in agreement. One last question, can my parents become immortal? Mine asked, her voice filled with hope and a touch of desperation. I don't believe so. They need to have high levels of mana to withstand the process, and they may die if I force mana into them. Tuli could absorb mana from me because she is still young, I explained, my tone gentle yet firm. I was afraid of that. Thank you for telling me, mine said, her voice softening as she bowed to me, gratitude and sorrow mingling in her eyes. Wait, take this mask with you. It will help to control your aura, I replied, giving Shizu's mask to her. Thank you, she replied with gratitude and regret in her voice. As mine turned to leave, tears glistened in her eyes, and Tuli followed closely behind, offering her silent support. I could see the sadness in mine's heart, the weight of feeling powerless to save her own parents. It was a burden I wished I could lift, but there was currently no way I could help them. Watching them go, I felt a pang of empathy for mine's struggle. Her love for her family was evident, and the thought of losing them was a heavy burden to bear. I resolved to support her in any way I could, knowing that sometimes, the most we can offer is our presence and understanding. Mine's paw. I was on my way to see my mother and father, with Tuli walking beside me. My heart was heavy with the weight of the conversation I knew we needed to have. It will be fine, mine, Tuli reassured me, her voice steady and comforting. But how can I tell them? They will have to see me not aging at all, and they will die while I will still live. I replied, my voice tinged with worry. They will understand. Besides, I am with you. Come, let's greet them, Tuli encouraged, her presence a source of strength. As we approached the carriages, I saw Mom and Dad stepping down. My heart leapt with a mix of joy and apprehension. Mom, Dad, you are here, I exclaimed, flying towards them with excitement. Hello there, mine. You never told me you could fly, and what's this, Tuli on your hip? Have you become a swordsman? Dad asked, his voice filled with curiosity and warmth. Did Mom not tell you? I replied, a playful smile on my face. She did, but I want to hear it from you, Dad insisted, his eyes twinkling with affection. Fine, but let us move somewhere private. We have some important things to tell you. Benno, Lutz, you also come. You may want to hear it, I said, guiding them to my new house, which I had built for them. This is our new house. I built it after I got permission from Rimuru, I announced, pride swelling in my chest. Wow, this is so big. Is this really ours? Mom asked, her eyes wide with amazement. Yes, it is. I built it, especially for us. It has 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a balcony, a common living room, a kitchen, and a balcony, I explained, my voice filled with excitement. Wow, how did you do it? Dad asked, his voice filled with wonder. I asked Geld for a favor, and he built it for me, I replied, my tone casual. Who is Geld? Mom inquired, her curiosity piqued. Ah, he is responsible for all the constructions that go on in Tempest, I explained, my tone informative. You really have a knack for doing something crazy, you know that. Benno remarked, a teasing smile on his face. Now, what do you want to tell us about? Lutz asked, his tone curious. I took a deep breath and started explaining everything. After a long explanation, my parents, Lutz and Benno, sat in silence, absorbing the news. Mine, what is wrong? Isn't that good? You'll have us for the rest of your life. Mom trailed off, her voice filled with emotion. You were always sickly and so prone to death. You will now not have to fear for your life, Dad added, his voice filled with relief. I could feel the subtle wet feeling spread onto the skin of my face as tears slowly dripped down. The rest of your lives. I whispered, the realization hitting me hard. I hung my head in defeat, the weight of immortality pressing down on me. It was my father who reacted first. His face grew hard and solemn, his eyes darkening as he stared off into space. Stiffening his back, he kept his head straight, even as tears dripped down his cheeks. "We can't be there for you," he said through gritted teeth, his voice grimacing. Something seemed to fall apart in my mother's eyes. She was going to die on us. Are you saying? Her voice trailed off, unable to finish the thought. I looked at my parents, seeing the devastated look in their eyes. Can I put them through this? Should I even focus on this? I wondered, looking down at my hands, which seemed stained with the weight of my decisions. I couldn't finish my sentence. Mine, just say it. You will feel better, Tuli urged, her voice gentle and reassuring. I'm sorry, I screamed, losing myself for a moment. I can't force my problems on you. I looked back at my parents, trying to focus on their eyes, even if they couldn't see through the mask. I just want you both to live as long as you can. I can't expect more. Please just enjoy life as much as you can. I pleaded, my voice filled with desperation. I ran over to them, hopping out of my chair and pulling them both into a forceful hug. My new strength made them uncomfortable, but I couldn't notice that in my emotional state. I looked at Lutz seriously. That goes for you, too. Please don't get some crazy idea like becoming a sage or something, I warned, my tone sharp. Lutz stared at me, slinking back, but his face held a bitter smile. I don't want to leave your side, he said, his voice filled with determination. Lutz. I couldn't let him down now, so I simply gave a nod. I looked over to Benno. Hey, don't go dying on me, okay? You ought to sell books for at least another 60 years, right? I teased, trying to lighten the mood. With a wry smile, Benno looked back and gave a confident nod. There is no way I won't ring you for every dime, he replied, his smile becoming a bit more bitter, but he understood. Tuli then spoke up. I have also decided to stay with mine for the rest of my life. I have actually taken well to magicules for reasons unknown, as I can see Lutz not absorbing magicules as I did. But I have decided to become a hero, sage, or demi-spirit and live with my sister for the rest of her life to protect and repay her for all she did for me. Besides, I am her elder sister, and I can't leave her alone, she declared, her voice filled with resolve. I gave Tuli a very subtle nod. Mom and Dad looked at us and told Tuli, take good care of mine for us after we are gone, okay? You know very well how impulsive she is. As her older sister, prevent her from making rash decisions, alright? I promise I will, Tuli replied, her voice filled with determination. We then hugged each other to ease our pain, but I knew it was not over. I really hoped this was the end of it, but I have other news I want to share, I said, my voice filled with apprehension. I told them all that was discussed in the meeting. Dad was visibly angry. Are they saying I can't protect my daughter? He asked, his voice filled with frustration. No, they can't harm me, but they can harm you. I don't want you all to get hurt because of me, which is why I agreed. We can still keep in contact with each other in private, unlike what we were told before about how we had to strain our connection to each other, I explained, my voice filled with urgency. Dad looked frustrated. Let's agree to this, mine. After all, you need new relationships after we are gone, and she can't protect us forever, he said, his voice filled with resignation. I know, but I still hate it, I replied, my voice filled with reluctance. Sylvester, the current Archduke has asked to meet with you regarding the adoption tomorrow. How will you respond? Mom asked, her voice filled with concern. I will attend. This is your future we are talking about, Dad replied, his voice filled with determination. Sorry to interrupt, but who else will be attending? Lutz asked, his voice filled with curiosity. Lady Florencia, Ferdinand Sensei, and Lord Rimuru will attend, I replied, my voice filled with certainty. Benno looked very worried. What about the venue? He asked, his voice concerned. It is at Rimuru's place, I replied, my voice confident. So we don't need to worry about the place, so it is doable, Benno said, his voice filled with relief. What do you mean? I asked, my voice filled with curiosity. Your mom and dad need new garments to meet them. They are meeting the archducal family and the ruler of monsters, after all, Benno explained, his voice filled with practicality. I don't think they would mind, I replied, my voice filled with doubt. Don't forget, mine, first impressions are important, Benno reminded, his voice filled with wisdom. Very well, we will buy new clothes. I have lots saved up after I received a bunch from Rimuru for saving his people, I agreed, my voice filled with determination. I also have some after training with Sensei, bringing down various monsters, and selling their parts. We are not short on cash, Tuli added, her voice filled with confidence. We are short on time, essentially. Let us make haste immediately, Benno urged, his voice filled with urgency. With that, we set off to prepare for the meeting, knowing that the future held both challenges and opportunities. Together, we would face whatever came our way, united by love and determination.